The Iron Juggernaut is the 6th boss in the Siege of Orgrimmar. Iron Juggernaut is a two-phase fight. There's an assault phase and a siege phase. The boss will alternate between the two phases the entire fight. The raid should attempt to spread out around the boss to avoid any abilities that have AoE effects. The assault phase is a 2-minute phase that the fight starts in.
During the assault phase, the boss has used several abilities.
Flame Vents is a frontal cone attack which deals decent fire damage in front of the boss. This ability also puts a stacking debuff on the target, which will increase their damage taken from fire abilities by 10% per stack. This also causes periodical fire damage. Once the tank reaches 3 to 4 stacks, there should be a tank switch. Make sure the off tank is not standing in the flame vents, otherwise he will already have the stacks. Bore Drill is used every 20-ish seconds. The ability causes the boss to send out spikes in different directions towards players, which will deal good damage to anyone hit. These need to be avoided. Try and kite the spikes away from people if you can. The boss also uses Laser Burn, which is a nuke that will deal good fire damage to a random target, leaving a dot on the affected player. This is unavoidable. The boss will spawn small crawler mines behind him. They will spawn every 20 seconds and will do so in groups of 3. These adds won't attack anyone and cannot be killed. 6 seconds after spawning, the ad will explode, dealing raid-wide damage. The explosion can be stopped if a player right-clicks a mine, causing them to stomp on it. If a player stomps on the ad, they will take a large amount of damage and be knocked up. In the air, that is. The boss also uses Mortar Cannon, which launches a projectile at a random raider's location every 20-ish seconds. The projectile will land 3 seconds after use, dealing good damage in an 8-yard radius. This projectile should be avoided. Then the siege phase will begin, lasting 60 seconds. The boss doesn't need to be tanked in this phase. Make sure to stay spread out during the phase. The boss will begin to use a new set of abilities, but will also continue to use crawler mines. Seismic Activity is a raid-wide damaging aura that is constantly used throughout the phase, dealing decent damage every second. Shock Pulse is an ability that will cause a massive knockback. This is why you need to try and position yourself in a way that leaves an obstacle somewhere behind you. Demolisher Cannons is a fire nuke that targets random raiders, and deals damage in a 6-yard radius around the target. It too is unavoidable. Cutter Laser is a freaking laser beam that will chase a random raider for 10 seconds. If the laser beam catches the target, it will deal a high amount of fire damage every second. If you are targeted by this ability, make sure you don't kite the beam through the explosive tar spots on the ground. Which brings us to the next ability, Explosive Tar. This is a void zone that the boss will place on the ground. They don't do a ton of damage, but they will explode if hit by the laser beam. This will cause raid-wide fire damage. The tanks need to tank the boss facing away from the raid. The boss will be tanked in the same spot the whole fight. Tanks will need to switch to 3 to 4 stacks that come from flame vents. The tank not on the boss should be setting off crawler mines. During the siege phase, both tanks should be setting off crawler mines. Healers need to be aware that someone is bound to kite the laser into a tar puddle. Be ready for the massive AoE that will take place. There is also constant damage from seismic activity that will have to be dealt with. The tanks setting off the mines will be taking large amounts of damage and attention should be paid towards them. The laser burn is going to cause large damage to a random raider if it catches them, so pay attention. The DPS need to constantly be damaging the boss. Everyone needs to be aware that when kiting the laser, as to not kite it into players and not kite it into tar. Don't stand on the spikes, don't stand in the tar, avoid the mortar cannon, and try to position yourself in a way that you won't go flying across Duratar when the boss casts Shock Pulse.
That's all you need to know to turn the Iron Juggernaut into an iron pile of shit.
Good luck, adventurer.